The Battle of Langfang was a battle in the Seymour Expedition during the Boxer Rebellion involving Chinese imperial troops, the Chinese Muslim Kansu braves and Boxers ambushing and defeating the Eight-Nation Alliance Expeditionary Army on its way to Beijing, forcing the Alliance forces to retreat back to Tianjin. The Alliance force at Langfang consisted of Germans. Preceding clashes, the Chinese Imperial Tenacious Army under General Nie Shicheng was waging a brutal campaign to suppress the Boxers under orders from Commander-in-Chief Rong Lu. At the same time General Nie was fighting the Boxers, the foreign Eight-Nation Alliance launched an invasion of China to reach the legations at Beijing. The imperial court then decided to change its tack and hold the suppression campaign against the Boxers and fight the foreigners instead. There was too much bad blood between General Nie and the Boxers for them to cooperate with each other against the foreigners, so in response, the imperial court sent another Chinese army. The Muslim Kansu braves under the anti-foreign General Dong Fuzhang fight alongside the Boxers against the foreign Eight-Nation Alliance forces. On June 4, Boxers lost 480 dead in a battle against Chinese imperial troops under General Nie Shicheng at Langfang. At Langfang the Alliance forces arrived on June 11. On June 11 and June 14, Boxers armed only with bladed melee weapons directly charged the Alliance troops at Langfang armed with rifles and machine guns in human wave attacks, and the Boxers also blocked the retreat of the expedition via train by destroying the Tianjin-Langfang railway. During clashes at Langfang, Boxers armed with swords and spears charged the British and Americans, who were armed with guns. At point-blank range, one British soldier had to fire 4 bullets into a Boxer before he stopped, and American Captain Bowman McCullough reported that single rifle shots were not enough. Multiple rifle shots were needed to halt a Boxer. Only machine guns were effective in immediately stopping the Boxers. It was announced that foreign troops attempting to enter Beijing would be resisted by General Dong Fuzhang's forces. The battle. Dong Fuzhang, along with his Chinese Muslim braves, prepared to ambush the invading Western army. The Muslim Ma Fuzhang and his brother Ma fully personally planned and led the attack, with a pincer movement around the Eight-Nation Alliance force. On June 18, Dong Fuzhang's troops, stationed at Hunting Park in southern Beijing, attacked at multiple points including Langfang. The forces included 5,000 cavalrymen, armed with modern rifles. They led a force of Hui Muslims, Dongxiang Muslims, and Baoan Muslims in the ambush at Langfang, with Ma Fulu personally leading a cavalry charge, cutting down enemy troops with his sword. The Boxers and Dong Fuzhang's army worked together in the joint ambush, with the Boxers relentlessly assaulting the Allies head-on with human wave attacks, displaying no fear of death, and engaging the Allies in melee combat and putting the Allied troops under severe mental stress by mimicking vigorous gunfire with firecrackers. The Allies, however, suffered most of their losses at the hands of General Dong's troops, who used their expertise and persistence to engage in bold and persistent assaults on the Alliance forces. As remembered by the German Captain Eustaman, the right wing of the Germans was almost at the point of collapse under the attack until they were rescued from Langfang by French and British troops, and the Allies then retreated from Langfang in trains full of bullet holes. The foreign troops, especially the Germans, fought off the attack, killing 400 at a loss of 7 dead and 57 wounded. The Kansu braves lost 200 and the Boxers another 200. The Boxers directly and relentlessly charged the Allies during the attack, which unnerved them. The need to care for the wounded, a lack of supplies, and the likelihood of additional Chinese attacks resulted in Seymour and his officers deciding to retreat to Shanxi. The unexpected attack on Seymour by the Chinese army was prompted by an allied European and Japanese attack on the Dag forts 2 days previously. As a result of the attack in Dag, the Chinese government had decided to resist Seymour's army and kill or expel all foreigners in northern China. Early on Sunday morning, the 17th of June, a week after we had started, the Taku forts were taken by the Allied forces in order to relieve Shenzhen. That city was invested by the Boxers, who began to bombard it next day. Of this, of course, we were quite ignorant. But the court in Peking must have received instant news of the fact, for on the afternoon of the 18th, Captain von Usedom, the German officer in command of the troops left at Langfang, was attacked by the imperial forces belonging to General Tung Fuhsiang's division. Their numbers were estimated at 7,000 and they were well armed with modern rifles which they used with effect, so that we suffered considerable casualties. Charles Clive Bingham Mersey, A Year in China, 1899–1900. 177 messages were then sent back to Loffa and Langfang, recalling trains 2, 3, and 4, the advance by rail being found to be impracticable, and the isolation and separate destruction of the trains a possibility. In the afternoon of June 18, train No. 3 came back from Loffa, and later in the evening Nos. 2 and 4 from Langfang. The latter had been unexpectedly attacked about 2:30 in the afternoon of June 18, by a force estimated at 5,000 men, including cavalry, large numbers of whom were armed with magazine rifles of the latest pattern. Captured banners showed that they belonged to the army of General Tung Fuhsiang, who commanded the Chinese troops in the hunting park outside Peking, showing that the Chinese imperial troops were being employed to defeat the expedition. This army was composed of especially picked men, 10,000 strong, commanded from the palace. They were said to be well armed, but indifferently drilled. United States Adjutant General's Office, Military Information Division, Publication, Issue 33, 528. On 17th, messages were sent back to Loffa and Langfang to recall Nos. No. 3 returned on the afternoon of the 18th of June, and in the evening Nos. 2 and 4 from Langfang. Captain von Usedom, the senior officer present with Nos 2 and 4 trains, reported that they had had a severe engagement with the enemy, who unexpectedly attacked them at Langfang about 2:30 p.in. on that day in great force estimated to be fully 5,000 men, large numbers of whom were armed with magazine rifles of the latest pattern. The banners captured show them to have belonged to the army of General Tung Fuhsiang, who commands the Chinese troops in the hunting park outside Peking, and it was thus definitely known for the first time that Imperial Chinese troops were being employed against us. The attack was made in front and on both flanks, the enemy pouring in a heavy fire on the Allied forces coming out to engage them. They were driven off with much loss. But when they saw our forces retiring towards the trains, they rallied and made another attack. A halt was then made and the men were once more beaten off with greater loss than before, and then finally retreated. In this action the Chinese lost over 400 killed, the Allied forces 6 killed and 48 wounded. Dispatches of which the following are copies, have been received from the Commander-in-Chief and the Rear Admiral on the China Station. Relative to the attempted relief of the legations at Peking, the capture of the Taku forts, and operations at Shenzhen, Admiral Seymour's dispatch. Letter No. 384, from Commander-in-Chief on the China Station, dated the 27th of June 1900. Combined naval expedition to attempt the relief of legations at Peking. No. 384. Shenzhen, the 27th of June 1900. The principal battle appears to have been that which was fought at Langfang on June 18, the battle which decided the admiral to turn back. The Allied force here consisted only of about one-third of the expedition, the British detachment being supplied by the Endymion, Aurora, and Orlando. The enemy numbered about 5,000, and it was not until after between 2 and 3 hours hard fighting that the attack was repulsed. The enemy sustained a loss of between 400 and 500, while the loss on our side was 58 killed and wounded. 2 days previously, the admiral had discovered that his communications with Shanxi had also been cut, that the bridge at Jiangxin was destroyed, and that the trains were useless. The Naval Annual 206. It was this battle which led Seymour's forces to realize that the Chinese Imperial Army had joined the fight alongside the Boxers and played a role in his decision to retreat to Tianjin.